Today we're specifically going to do a 5-star tier list here for Honkai Star Rail, and we're going to be placing them from S rank being the best and D being the worst. Now again, it's only going to be the 5-star units. I'll go ahead and rate the 4-star units in a separate video, and then I'll do another video that I rate all the units together in one. But this is the way I decided to do it, to give you guys a better idea and let you guys know where I place these units. Now again, this is just my opinion, and everyone's opinion is different, so take this with a grain of salt if you'd like. But I do have experience because I've played this game throughout the beta, and now I'm playing it throughout the launch. My opinion still stays the same for most of these characters, so let's go ahead and jump right into it. But before we move on, guys, I'd appreciate if you guys subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like the video, and share this around. Alright guys, first and foremost, let's go ahead and start off with the elephant in the room, and that is Seele, right? It's ironic I said that because, right, Seele, probably should have said the seal in the room. All right, yeah, bad joke. But yeah, Seele is going to be the first limited banner unit that you'll be able to summon for. And honestly, guys, she is an amazing unit. The reason why is because she's going to have resets on her passive, right? Every time she takes out an enemy unit, she's going to go ahead and get an extra turn. And when she gets that extra turn, she's going to get a huge damage boost that you can use your basic attack or your skill on, which is your E if you're playing on a keyboard, or your, you know, the skill you use your that you need a skill point for. Now she does a lot of single target damage as well. She has a multi-hit on her skill, which is very nice, and she boosts her own speed. Also, guys, I also forgot to mention she is the fastest character in the game. Literally, not one of the, she is the fastest character in the game. Not only that, she's going to be buffing herself with that speed buff that she gives herself on her skill, and that's going to make her even faster, which makes her take turns even more in the turn meter. If you guys don't know about the turn meter, it's going to be a gauge on the top left side that dictates which character goes next. Now, the faster your character is, the faster they'll climb up that turn gauge, and they'll be able to get their turn, and that is based off how fast and how much speed that character has. Also, there's other things that push their action forward that Seele also has in her kit as well, but that's when you unlock her traces and stuff, and it accounts for her basic attack. But mainly you're going to be spamming your E. She also has a huge single target damaging ability that also gets a huge massive damage boost when she's doing it. This character is going to be bonkers, guys. Build her with crit damage, bunch of attacks. She's already really fast. Give her some support, and she's gonna be putting in work, guys. So yeah, she is amazing. She is amazing, no doubt about it. I love this unit and definitely belongs in the S tier. Now for the next unit that goes great alongside Seele is Bronya, guys. These two are match made in heaven. They work around each other so well because Bronya, what she does, she's gonna go ahead and for her ultimate is give buff attack and crit damage, guys. So that means even more damage, right, for Seele, or just any damage dealer, right? Because she gives this to the entire team. That she's just gonna boost her damage overall. And then on her skill, guys, that costs 1 skill point, she's gonna go ahead and get that unit and advance them forward by 100%. Remember the gauge meter that I said? Well, if they get advanced forward all the way to the top, that's being advanced forward by 100%. So she's instantly gonna give your ally a turn, and is gonna let them go ahead and take an ability to get an attack, which in turn gives them more energy, so they can go ahead and use their ultimate a lot quicker. So that is huge, guys. And her with Bronya, right? Bronya with Seele. Seele's already going to be getting extra turns, and then Bronya's going to be pushing her and advancing her forward so she can take another turn. So it feels like Seele's going to be taking so many turns, right? But you are going to have to watch your skill points. Bronya, she is skill point dependent, so she can take advantage of that E, and also that her skill also gives a damage boost on top of that as well. And yeah, when you unlock her traces, her basic attacks become automatic crits 100%. So you just have to build it with crit damage, and she also scales on her ult by giving more crit damage depending on how much crit damage she has. So you're going to want to build it with crit damage. So she's going to be like a support with a pseudo damage dealer at the same time, trying to tackle two things. But she's mainly a damage buffer, and she's great not just with Seele, but just with any damage dealer overall. Bronya is amazing, guys. She belongs in the S tier. Now the next unit I put in the S tier is Welt. The reason I put Welt in the S tier is because this unit, honestly guys, is going to just wreak havoc on the enemy units. He's gonna go ahead and basically manipulate the action bar or the turn bar, whatever you call it, right? And he's gonna go ahead and delay those enemies. Remember how I talked about advancing forward? Well, if you delay someone, that means you're pushing them back in their turn, right? So you're pushing their turn, you're pushing them farther back in the turn meter, so that it'll be harder for them to take a turn. And that's what he does. He also applies slow, and yeah, he is the imaginary element right now, and he has a multi-hit that is very powerful because he can break enemies easily with it, and he does good damage as well for being a support unit. But yeah, he's more like a control unit that he's gonna basically move enemies back on the turn gauge, which, you know, if an enemy can't get a turn really, or gets a couple turns while your allies are just skipping because of the enemy because of Welt, and their allies are getting a bunch of turns, it's gonna be really good for you and not such a good time for the enemy. So yeah, Welt is gonna be doing amazing with that, guys. He's definitely going in the S tier, guys, and he's gonna go ahead and apply this debuff on the enemies that make them take more damage. If your allies hit them, they're gonna do more damage. Now Yanqing, guys, I really honestly still want to put this character in S. Now Yanqing, this is another great unit that does a bunch of damage, but he also brings control at the same time. So a unit that can do a bunch of damage and also has the ability to freeze a target is huge, because when you freeze a target, it's like basically them getting stunned and them losing their turn. Not only that, he has the potential of doing that. He's gonna be buffing his own crit rate and crit damage up on his own with his E and his ultimate. Now the only kicker here is that when he puts the E, which is his skill, on himself, he has a buff. He's in a buff state. Now if he does get attacked while he's in his buff state, he loses this buff that makes him get more crit damage, and if he loses that, he's basically losing damage, right? So but his buff also makes him be less likely to get attacked. So you're gonna want to basically just try to make sure that you bring someone that can bring a lot of attention to them, or you can taunt them. Now if he does get hit with an AOE attack, guys, that does count as him getting hit, so you'll have to reapply the E so you can become in your buff state again. But other than that, guys, this guy is huge. This guy is great, but because he does great single target damage, he has a multi-hitting ability that's good for breaking. He can also freeze the enemy as a heavy single target damage unit. I do want to put him in S, but because of that slight because of his buff being if he gets hit by an AOE, he loses that buff and you have to reapply. That means you have to use a skill point. So I don't know, we'll just keep him in A for now. I still think he belongs in S, honestly, but we'll just keep him in A for now. Next we got Clara, and Clara is a physical damage dealing unit, and it has like this very counter like play style where if she takes damage, she's gonna go ahead and attack back. And she does really good damage, and she's also pretty tanky as well, because she puts damage reductions on herself. Now her skill does good damage, but it does more damage if you apply a mark on them, and the mark happens whenever she counters and applies that. And then when she uses her skill, it'll literally hit everyone. It's not just the adjacent targets, it literally hits everyone. But she is very heavily reliant on getting hit, so she can go ahead and counter. So you're gonna want to bring her with someone that gives her more attention, because the more attention she gets, that means the more times she'll get hit, and the more times she can proc that counter to hit them. So you're definitely going to want to bring her with March 7th, and that's why I kind of put her in A, because she's really reliant on March 7th, where up here these units honestly can hold their own by themselves. But other than that, her ultimate's still very good too. It's a counter, but she doesn't need March 7th for her ultimate, at least, because it applies to your teammates. So if they get attacked, she'll be able to counterattack for them, but it only lasts for 2 attacks. Other than that, you go back to your regular stuff, right? She does have things that bring attention to herself, but it's still not a taunt. So yeah, we're gonna put Clara in the A tier, but I can see this unit going up in the ranks maybe in the future, because there's so many possibilities on ways you can build her. You can build her tanky, you can build her damage dealer, you can build her bruiser. There's a lot of ways you can build her, guys. There's a lot of potential with Clara. Now the next unit I want to talk about is Gepard. Gepard puts huge shields on your allies, and you honestly won't be taking any damage because of that. He can pretty much fill up his energy gauge pretty quickly. On his skill, he has a freeze, which is a single target freeze, which is good. You know, going to getting that freeze is very good, but you want to make sure you land that. Other than that, he's basically there to soak up some damage and put up shields, because he also has the same thing as Clara, where he brings attention to himself. For his passive, if he does get downed, he will come back up alive with a certain amount of percent of HP. Now Gepard, his shields are definitely going to come in handy, like I said. But that's about really all he brings, is just protection to your team, and him just being there is just being this tank that wants to soak up damage. Honestly, he can be in the A tier or the B tier, but we'll just keep him in A for now, just because I believe the shields are really good. And yeah, him being able to do what he does, tank and apply CC and protect your team, is very underrated, but he's still going to be very good, trust me, and especially in the later game in the tougher fights. Now Himiko, with her buffs, guys, I think she belongs in the A tier, to be honest. Because now all her abilities apply burn, and then now that enemies that have burn, she does even more damage. But Himiko is probably the best AOE unit, damage dealing unit that we have in the game right now. And she's great at it because she has something that she has an attack that follows up, that does a bunch of damage depending if you break an enemy or your allies break them. If she reaches 3 charges, she'll go ahead and attack the enemies and just do a bunch of damage, right? Now the good thing is about Himiko and her ult is that whenever she does do an ult and you're fighting a swarm, and she takes them out, depending on an enemy that you take out, she's gonna go ahead and gain energy for each enemy she takes out, which means she's gonna be able to use her ult even more. So that's very nice, and you'll be able to apply those burns as well, which is gonna be key. It's more damage, and she's just gonna keep ramping it up. Now her E is just a adjacent attacking move that hits 3 targets, which is pretty simple. But other than that, that's her kit right now. I think Himiko belongs in the A tier because she's definitely the best damage dealing unit that we have right now. So Himiko, we'll put her at A. Now we have Bailu, and I think Bailu belongs in the S tier, guys, because she's the best healer we have. Other than Natasha, Bailu's the next best thing. Bailu's the other healer that we have, and she's the only 5-star healer we have, so because of that, she's gonna be going into the 5-star. Now she has a huge heal on, now she has a very nice heal on her ult, and her ult applies Invigorate, which means if your allies get attacked, they'll go ahead and just do a heal, right? And that's what it does. It doesn't have no cooldown on it. It just sits on them throughout the battle, and if they get hit, they'll just get a nice heal. And she's also gonna heal people with her E as well. And one of the most broken things about her is the fact that if one of your allies get down, she's gonna go ahead and revive them. So yeah, it's really good protection, guys. But really good healing. Can't go wrong with Bailu. Now Jing Yuan is gonna be the next banner unit that does come out, guys, and he's gonna be a beast, and I'm just gonna go ahead and put him in the S tier. He's a lightning damage dealing unit. These back-to-back banners, man, they're gonna be really good. So if you do pull Seele, or if not, you know, you can save up for Jing Yuan, and trust me, you will not regret it, because this dude does a bunch of damage, AOE and single target. He's really good. He has like this extra entity with him that he fights alongside, and he charges them up throughout the battle depending on how many skills you use, and makes his entity Lightning Lord do a bunch of damage depending on how many times he uses his skills or his ultimate. But it sounds pretty simple, but when you see this guy in action, he's gonna be tearing things apart, right? So yeah, this is gonna be my initial tier list. We didn't include Kafka, Blade, Luocha, Silverwolf, right? Because this is just gonna be my launch tier list. Honestly, all these units are pretty solid. If you want, you could probably knock down Gepard down to B if you like. but honestly, I think he's really good. Maybe it's me just being biased, but we can probably put him B now for early game, but late game, I think he's definitely gonna rise up to A or even higher. I don't think he'll go higher, but A is for sure. But everything else, I think this is good. If there's something else that would change, it would probably be putting Yanqing in the S tier. So other than that, all these units are really solid, guys. So don't feel bad if in the starter warp that you got any of these units, because a lot of them are really good. Like I said, it depends on your playstyle. I was okay with getting whoever, as long as I didn't get Clara, because I just didn't want to do the whole counter playstyle. Maybe you might like it though, but she's still a good unit no matter what, right? So keep that in mind. They're all different elements as well, so you can bring them all into different sorts of fights and stuff that some will shine more than others. So keep that in mind, guys. It's not always just about the powerful character, it's about the strategy, it's about the elements, it's about the team that you build together and stuff like that. So yeah, that is my initial tier list for this, guys. I hope you guys did enjoy this. We'll definitely go ahead and do a 4-star tier list next, so be on the lookout for that. So yeah, leave a comment down below what you guys think about this tier list, and let me know where you guys would place who and where. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bridget, I'm out. Peace.